Thank you both for being here with us. As younger actors, we have a lot of questions for you, particularly how do we end up in your shoes? How do we have a long, successful career that spans a length of time? What have you done to prepare yourself for having a career that is successful, that is something that is long-term?
I would say do everything you can, and just everything. Just absolutely everything. I mean, somebody once said there are no small parts, and it's true. You know, if it's a part, if you're right for it and it looks like a lot of fun to do it and it's only a day's work, take it. You know, if it's only 15 minutes worth of work, take it. And as your career grows, just stay humble. You know, and I mean, because it's a collaborative business, and I've seen a lot of kids get out there and they become quote unquote overnight successes, and they start thinking that, you know, everything they say is the most wonderful thing in the world and they don't have to listen to anybody. And the next thing you know, their houses are being invaded by the police or something. And it's just like, you know, work with people. Just, you know, take the good stuff, the stuff that's really interesting, and work with everybody. You know, be willing to listen to just anything, because you never know where that piece of gem is going to come from. You know, that you just don't.
Do you think it's true that more so in this industry than other industries, chance plays a bigger role?
I mean, I definitely think that's, I mean, luck factors in any industry in any circumstance in life, but probably certainly more so in the industry. There's so many variables, and the one being humble, I think, is important for me, just in terms of sort of not having an overinflated sense of ego in any industry. I've worked in the legal world too, and I think it's really important. And you can only get better by being aware of your own limitations. However, I also, and for me, this is something I wish I had done more when I was younger, is taking more risks. Because yes, a lot of it is luck and being in the right place at the right time and honing your skills and having those skills ready for when the opportunity arises, if the opportunity arises. And I think that's the big question. But also, in order for that opportunity to arise, you have to take risks. And I've always been extremely risk averse. And you can't be. You just can't be in this industry. I mean, and I'm not saying be unreasonable. Obviously, as a stunt person, you're not going to take risks that will put your life in danger. But take risks. Taking risks is more important in this industry than it is in many other industries, I think.
Risks in the sense that a project might turn out not as good as you thought, or risks as in putting your life savings from K through 12 into your new headshots and your website and your demo and all that stuff.
Strategic risks. So yes, no, I don't think you should fritter away everything that is going to allow you to continue to exist, so that 20 years from now you won't just be you won't maybe be a successful actor, maybe not, but you won't be feeding yourself and you'll be homeless. I mean, strategic. So yes, working on projects where you're like, oh, this could work, this could not work, or oh, I'm making a fool of myself and this could be really terrible. But sort of being willing to do those things and then stand and learn from them and sort of say, okay, well, I wouldn't do that again, but I did learn X, Y, Z from this, and maybe making those strategic risks of what is worth investing in. Like, do you blow all your savings on a new set of headshots? No. But do you have a project that really, really means something to you, and putting yourself out there for that project or that role, or, you know.
And in today's situation, I mean, the marketing has all changed. I mean, back in my day, you called your agent, have you got anything for me? Today, agents do nothing other than make deals. Managers are lucky. If you're working, managers do what agents used to do, and it's all up to you. You have to do your own marketing. You have to get that website out there, you know, touch base with email people constantly on the phone, talking. It's all about self-promotion now. And I mean, I had no. I mean, when it all started, I'm still floundering. I'm not a big self-promoter, and it's not what you know, it's who you know. So the risk thing comes into the factor that something that in my day you never would have done, like a big producer sitting over there next to you. And in my day, you never would have gotten up and gone over and said, "Hi, my name is so-and-so, I've seen your work, I really enjoy it, here's my card." You wouldn't do it. You'd have your agent do it. Today, you can do it. And that's, wow, that's scary to me.
What are you thinking, Jennifer?
Well, I mean, I'm completely on the same page with you. I'm not a huge self-promoter. I mean, and it's always been really, really hard for me. And I still don't. I think that there's a way, I still find that painful. I still think there's a way in which to approach things. And I think that, I mean, you do have avenues like Twitter, for instance, where where you can reach people directly and engage them on a level that they're interested in and about projects that you are also interested in, where it's not just about, hey, I'm an actor, look at me, like
Yeah.
here's my body of work. You have the ability to learn about their work and their body of work very, very easily. And to approach it that way instead of, because the self-promotion aspect of it, I completely agree with you. I hate it, I can't do it. And I wish that things, I mean, when I was starting out, the internet was around, but it wasn't established in the same way that it is now, where it's so incredibly, everybody has, back when I started, everybody didn't have their information online. Like, you really had to search for things. Now, everybody, whether they like it or not, their information is online. You can find out about the work that they've done, projects that they've done, and learn about them and engage with people in that way. Because in the end, I mean, I think that your work then will speak for itself, because the self-promotion thing, I think you're right. Don't get me wrong, I think it can be successful, and I think it can work. I just personally don't necessarily think that it should work.
It's a trend I've seen, like, say a young actor wants to be part of a film, doesn't get cast, buys a camera, makes his own web series, his or her own web series. And now this can get the exposure where 10, 20 years ago, like, that actor would just be still waiting in the casting office. So I've seen some pretty incredible things happen by people taking, especially digital media, into their own hands and have success stories, booking roles in television shows just by little shorts that they've done,
Yeah, it was funny. I was like,
pretty incredible.
And I think it's amazing. I was overhearing a conversation this morning when we were setting up for this, and I was getting makeup done for this, about just the idea of, well, do you go the traditional route of getting work, or do you create your own work? And I think that there's a proliferation of stuff out there, and the argument was made that, it's just people think that they can just sort of put this stuff on YouTube and nobody's going to watch it anyway. And I think that can be true. So I think ultimately you also have to realize that if you're going to do that, you have to tell a good story. And what you're learning to do is not to just promote yourself and your own work as an actor, but to tell a good story and make it something that people want to watch. Does that make sense? I don't know if hopefully
It
that
makes sense. It's hard to do.
I know.
The harder thing to do is basically, I mean, it's hard enough to try and promote yourself.
Yes.
But you go out and you take the time and invest the money. I mean, money's going to be invested to make that little short. Now you've got to go out and you've got to push the short, because just putting it on YouTube is useless because nobody knows it's there. So now you've got to take the time to go out there and you've got to say, here I am, here's what I do, and here's my project. I'd like you to watch it. I'd like you to Twitter it. I'd like you to like it. Whatever you have to do, because if you don't, you've done all this work, you've taken all this time for what? Yes, it's there. You can go to it, you can see it, but if I don't know it's there, and I'm in a hiring position, what does it matter? You've wasted all that time. So the idea that you can go out and make it is a wonderful thing. Take your iPhone, go out and make yourself a good little story, and it can be Shakespeare. But if nobody knows it's there, it don't matter.
I think a lot of people are proactive about getting that film out there, but they lack in that PR field.
And
A lot of people.
Well,
twas
and-
ever thus.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, and that is, because in the end, I guess that could still be considered self-promotion
It is.
because you're still,
Yeah, absolutely.
but I like to philosophically look at it in a different way and think of it as you're promoting the story or you're promoting the work. Because yes. But yes, the end goal, however you're thinking about it philosophically, the end result is you have to get that work out there. And I think it's great that you can create your own work. And I actually think that makes a big difference.
I mean, going back, and you'll remember these days, that everybody would say, you know, go out and do plays. Because that's where people, and the agents would come in and they'd sit and they'd watch you.
Mm-hmm.
It's changed now that you don't have to go out and do plays. You can make your own play. And you can send the play out rather than having you going out and doing the play and having them come in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can send that play out. If we're in a hiring position, you send it out to us. You say, this is a piece of work that I've done. Whether it gets looked at or not, that's your gamble. I mean, it's the gamble on the business anyway.
But not much of an
But the
investment for
fact
them
is,
to
but
just
the fact is,
play.
you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I mean, you might take 6 weeks. Back in my day, you'd take 6 weeks to rehearse, and then you'd have, you know, maybe you'd be lucky if you got 4 or 6 performances in North Hollywood, and then you'd be out and you'd be doing it all over again, just to get seen, hoping that you could send out 100 flyers and that some casting agents or directors or casting directors would come out and see you. But now you don't have to do that. You can put it up on YouTube and you can send to the casting directors, this project just went up on YouTube, take a look at it, I'd like you to see it, and boom, there you are. I mean, the technology, it's amazing. A little scary on my part, but
For students that aren't yet out there promoting their own business just yet, or doing their own films or any type of their own productions, even theater, what should they focus on while they're in school to help them prepare to get out in the real world?
I would do research. I mean, do as much research as possible about to find out what you're interested in getting into, to find out who you're interested in working with. Watch movies. I mean, it's so important to, and I think that that's something that's neglected, and is just the idea of, obviously, to see other people's work, both now and from many years past. And you can see that on Hulu, you can see it on YouTube, you can see it in so many different realms, and you have access to things that, you know, anything from Citizen Kane to some obscure thing that was done in the 1950s to big films of today, and it's all accessible. And I would see as much as possible and research as much as possible while you're honing your own skills and honing your own.
And the other
vision
thing would be,
and craft.
is never forget the tools of your trade. And that's this. You are the major tool of your trade. And as a student, articulation, theater acting. In my opinion, there are too many kids out there that are trying to become film actors. And if you don't go with the basics, which is theater, that's where it all started. It started with theater. It teaches you how to stand. It teaches you how to walk. It teaches you how to speak. Learn Shakespeare. Study Shakespeare. Why? Because he's a great writer? Yes. But because you must enunciate. And your voice and your voice and your whole being, that is your tool. And if you don't know how to use your tool, then it becomes a matter of you walk in there, you've got a great look, everybody loves your look, you open your mouth and nobody understands a word you're saying. Well then, what's the reason? What's the purpose? Yeah. And unless you're Marlon Brando, you can't get away with that. But I tell you something. You listen to Brando. He mumbled, you could understand every word he said. Yes, he would mumble, but he would mumble absolutely perfectly with his articulation. Every vowel and consonant was mentioned. And a lot of times the kids today, they just want to go out there and be, you know, superstars and heroes, and it just, that's not the tool. That's, you know, it's still a business, and you still need the one tool to work.
Well, thank you so much for allowing us to pick your brain.
Yeah.